I just got done watching the Super Mario Bros. Movie on the big screen, and I have some things that I want to talk about for this film, guys. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Let's go. What's going on, you guys? The Demigod back on Demigod ET, bring you another movie review for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, a highly anticipated release out of Nintendo, out of Illumination Studios. And I gotta say, man, I was a bit worried going into this, especially with the drop of yesterday's ratings and reviews after the critics for this movie. I was a bit worried after seeing that. I walked in here with zero expectations, and I gotta say, man, it paid off because I really enjoyed this film, especially as a gamer and someone who's grown up with this franchise, with this property. Literally my entire life I've been playing Mario games, from Nintendo 64 to GameCube to DS to Wii, every console you can imagine. And so I'm very familiar with this property, with this character. They definitely did it justice here, and I'm glad to be able to say that. So with that being said, let's discuss a little bit more about this film. So first things first, the voice acting for this movie has a very colorful cast, such as Chris Pratt, voicing Mario, and Anya Taylor-Joy voicing Princess Peach, two of my favorite actors slash actresses working today in Hollywood. And for this movie, right out the gate, I'll just drop a nitpick that I had, which was Mario's voice. Now, he doesn't get his classic voice inside of here. In fact, they even make fun of it a little at the fact that they decided not to go with it. And I felt like that was unnecessary. What was the reason for that? They could have easily used Mario's typical accent that we're familiar with, and I feel like it would have worked perfectly fine with this movie, especially considering it's going to be mostly fans going to see this film. But I digress. After a few minutes that passes, you get used to Chris Pratt in this role, to him voicing this character, and we start off in a perfect place for this movie, which is the Super Mario Bros. Being plumbers, staying in Brooklyn, New York with an Italian family. You get to see their heritage, what their family's like, what their community and surrounding characters are like, and I really appreciated that. I feel like Mario's origin is not dived into enough, and I'm glad that that was represented here, and it definitely felt like an appropriate place to start for this movie. And then very shortly after this, our characters, of course, end up making their way into the Mushroom Kingdom. I'm not going to exactly say how, but our main characters, Mario and Luigi, do end up arriving here, and I gotta say, they did the Mushroom Kingdom fantastic. It feels like it's ripped right out of the games and put onto the big screen, which honestly is extremely surreal to witness, because like I said, as someone who grew up with these characters, getting to see them on the big screen with animation this high level, which by the way, the animation is beautiful, it's bright, it's vivid, it's colorful, and I think that's going to be the main standout point for this film. And as our characters arrive here, they do end up getting separated, that is Mario and Luigi, with honestly Luigi being kind of thrown to the wayside for the majority of this movie, which I didn't appreciate. Why not have Luigi in here a little bit more? He is in here, but you just don't get enough of him, and I felt like we could have definitely used that inside of this movie. But outside of that, very soon after, you meet all the characters. You meet Toad, you meet Princess Peach, you meet Bowser. You get to see what Bowser's like inside of here. You meet Donkey Kong, and I love the way that they portrayed these characters. It felt real and authentic to these characters. I liked the voice acting of these characters, and I especially liked how they did our villain, Bowser, of course. Bowser in this film is mean, he's scary, he's intimidating, he's psychotic, and he has this weird obsession with Princess Peach that the movie likes to play up on, which comes off weird and creepy, but it adds to his overall character as our antagonist inside this movie. And what I found interesting with Peach's character inside of this film is they didn't end up going with her typical role as damsel in distress that Bowser captures and Mario has to go off and save. No, she's more of a guide in this film for Mario, as he's this fish out of water character experiencing the Mushroom Kingdom for the first time, very put off by this, as you could imagine, and she kind of gets him familiar with the land. Instead of the damsel in distress, she's more confident, she's more capable, especially since she's been in the Mushroom Kingdom her whole life, so it sort of makes sense. However, they also managed to keep her character whimsical and still feminine, and I appreciated seeing that inside of here. Now, as for the watch time in this movie, it's about an hour and a half, which I definitely appreciated. We don't need to overstay our welcome here for a Mario film. That would have been completely unnecessary. So this hits a nice runtime hour and a half with an extremely fast pace. Honestly, this movie is paced very fast the entire way through. It doesn't slack at any portion. It keeps the ball rolling. It keeps you engaged and interested and intrigued as to what you're about to see next, because there's so much fan service inside of this movie, so many Easter eggs that you could just see off to the side of the screen as you're watching it, so many callbacks to different areas and characters and items that you see in the game, and it's amazing to see them interact with it on the big screen and get to see how they approach things such as using power-ups inside the Mario world, or hitting blocks, or taking the tubes, and they did it all in a perfect way, in my opinion. Now, for the most part, you get a simplistic story here, which of course, it's a Mario story. When has a Mario story ever been overtly complicated? It never has, if you've ever played a Mario game in your entire life. And I felt like they went with a story that worked. It was nice, simple, and allowed us to explore all the areas of the Super Mario Bros. World. We even get a sequence in here with the Mario Karts where they select their carts and you get to watch them drive on Rainbow Road. All that stuff's amazing, man. It makes you feel like a kid again. It definitely made me feel like a child as I watched it. Now, could have a little more life been thrown into this movie and been thrown into the story and these characters? Yes. However, it felt unnecessary. It felt like you didn't need to do that. This isn't a Pixar film. This is a Nintendo Illumination film. This is a video game property being adapted for the screen, and I felt like they did it justice, and they did it just how it needed to be done, and in a way that fans of the series, of the franchise, will appreciate. And again, that brings us back to the critic reviews of this film. What exactly were they expecting while walking into a Super Mario Bros. Film? Something super thought-provoking and profound? Because that's not what you're going to get here. That's not what you should have ever expected here. You get a Super Mario Bros. Film, one that feels like it's made for the fans, one that feels like all ages, you know, from people who grew up with it like me, or older generations, to young kids can definitely enjoy. And with that being said, let's go ahead and drop the rating for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I'm gonna go ahead and give this film a 9 out of 10. It gets the 9 out of 10. Again, I had some nitpicks here, some things I thought, you know, could have been improved on. I would have liked to have seen the original voice inside of here used throughout the entire movie. I would have liked to see Luigi in here a little more, and a few other little nitpicks that I had. But for the most part, man, a really good time at the cinemas. Definitely go check this out with the family. I feel like the critics got this one wrong and they really missed the mark here. And another thing that I forgot to throw in is the soundtrack inside of here is amazing. From classic soundtracks of the game to songs that they choose to use pulled from outside of the game that I felt fit perfectly here. Almost like a Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack that they went with here. All great stuff, man. Those are my thoughts on this film. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you don't know what you're on DimiGod, do commentaries, reactions, or reviews. If you're seeing that in the right place, man, hit subscribe. Hit the like button. I drop multiple videos a week on the channel. You can expect that to me. If you don't already know, I am the DimiGod, the show's one here on DimiGod ENT. And I'm out of this thing, man. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.